Welcome to a very cold edition of the NT Prep Preview. I'm Brandon LaChance, sports writer. This is Kevin Chlum, sports editor, and Jared Bell, sports writer. This week we're going to discuss conference basketball.
Well, guys, even though it's cold outside, the action is about to heat up on the conference schedule indoors for basketball teams. We have many different conferences and we have many different teams who are realistically have a chance to do well, maybe even win their conference titles. It starts with the Northern Illinois Big 12 West Division, that features Ottawa and LP. Ottawa's probably the class of the conference. They've got a great start so far with the one loss through the Christmas tournaments. They also won the Plano Christmas Classic. We can't forget about LP, who always seems to be lurking around. They're a threat, even though they already lost to Ottawa. There's other teams like Dixon who are having a surprise season that could be some threats, but for the most part, we figure Ottawa is probably the class of the conference. Up north, we have Mendota is in the Big Northern Conference West Division. And it's just a brutal conference with teams like Winnebago and Byron and Rockford Lutheran. And last year the Trojans didn't do so hot in the conference. They only had about 3 or 4 wins, but still were able to win the regional titles. So any win that they get in that conference will be deserved.
Well, the Tri-County is pretty tough this year as well. At the top, I think you have Putnam County and Henry. Henry only has 1 loss on the season. Putnam County only has a couple. They haven't played yet in conference, but that's coming up soon. And then, so those two probably are the class. You got the conference. Marquette is up there as well. They competed real well at the Marcel's tournament, and they've been playing well after a slow start because of football. Peoria Christian's always pretty good, although Putnam County already beat them. So Tri-County should be good again.
I always say Marquette's a sneaky team
in
that conference. There, as Hall found out the other day, don't count them out.
As Henry found out last year in the regional.
Yeah.
You never know with Marquette. And then in the Three Rivers, you have a lot of area teams in there now. This year you got Hall, St. Bede, Princeton. I mean, Princeton's not so hot this year, but you never know once the conference play starts. St. Bede and Hall, they're probably not going to be winning that conference because Rock Ridge is there. They got tons of talent. They're ranked highly in the state, so they're probably the favorite to win the conference on the south side. In the north, you got Bureau Valley, who should be pretty competitive, but it's also a tough conference.
Well, let's not forget, Rock Ridge may not only be the favorite to win the conference, they may be the favorite to win the entire state. So that's a really tough matchup for all the local teams.
And that's mainly because of Ethan Happ, correct?
Yeah, the Wisconsin recruit who was actually the cousins of Jay Happ and Adam Happ from the area. So 6-7 will get it done.
Definitely. All right, basketball isn't the only winter sport around, as wrestling has a lot going on as well.
Well, like we said last week, this is kind of the slow build for the wrestling season. The basketball, have a lot of hype with Thanksgiving tournaments and holiday tournaments. This is, though, however, when wrestling really gets going. We have the Princeton Invitational Wrestling Tournament this weekend. There's over 30 teams at this tournament, including Ottawa and Princeton. Princeton's been down the last couple of years, but they still have some kids who may be able to do something in Austin Wetzel and Drew Pranka, who's making his season debut. The real star of the show will be whether or not Ottawa can do well. They have some of the top wrestlers around in Daniel Close and Alex Fuentes. They both will be there. Unfortunately, the 220-pounder Cyrano Rayfield will not wrestle. He's going to be at a football recruiting trip, but Ottawa also has some other kids that will be good. So, if we do well at this tournament, it's a good sign in the postseason. Hopefully our teams and our kids can do well.
Now it's time for the best segment of all the land, the NT Prep Preview Powerhouse Players of the Week.
Well, guys, our first powerhouse player of the week is Ottawa senior John Carroll, who seems to have his own segment on this segment here. The senior scored 38 points as Ottawa won last Monday. It seems such a long time ago. They won last Monday the Plano Christmas Classic tournament. It's the second year in a row that they have won the tournament, and the second year in a row that John Carroll has won MVP honors.
Yeah, the Ottawa fans are going crazy, chanting him, hailing him, screaming for him to beat the
carry
record,
him off
which
the
was
court?
just changed. That they almost, I think they wanted to. If it was allowed, they would have done it.
Well, we're sticking with Ottawa, and another familiar face for the second powerhouse player, Cassidy Rice from the girls' team. She's been on here a couple weeks ago for having a game-winning shot
Against Geneseo.
Now she's on here for having 18 points and 11 rebounds against Morris on Friday.
All right. Jacob Martini is a regular, but usually in the football season. So now we're going to bring in basketball season. The Crusaders senior scored 19 points against Hall on Friday. And it was a defensive stop that really made the game for him, as he started a 6-0 run for Marquette with 29 seconds left in the game to give him the win. Thank you for checking out this week's NT Prep Preview, and make sure to come back next week on www.newstrib.com.
/.
Sports.